Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So guys, we are back with another session for your preparation for RBI Grade B Phase 2 Descriptive English for the year 2023. So guys, just let me know if I'm audible and if I'm visible to everyone. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box. And I welcome you all here guys. And today we will be starting our sessions for Precis writing. So don't miss out on these sessions. And guys, if you have not liked the session, uh, if you've not clicked the subscribe button, don't shy away from doing that. So thank you so much guys. Thank you for joining in. So the agenda for today's session is Precis writing. We'll be learning about basics of Precis writing and we'll be looking into how to articulate your answers in the paper, and we'll be looking into many other aspects of this. So this is a 12 lecture series where we'll be covering essay writing. We did cover essay writing in the previous 4 sessions. So next 4 sessions will be about Precis writing, and the last 4 sessions would be about reading comprehension and how to answer those questions. So we'll take up all the modules of your descriptive English section in RBI Grade B Phase 2. So the agenda for today's session is, first of all, we'll discuss previous year Precis, just to show you, how a Precis should look like, and what should be a sample answer. That I'll discuss that as well with you. Then we'll look into some basics of Precis writing, what Precis writing entails, what it is all about. Then I'll show you a few examples of good Precis and bad Precis, so then you can differentiate what to do and what not to do in your Precis writing. And then I'll give you a sample Precis to practice for yourself. Right. So guys, thank you so much for your precious time. Thank you for joining in at such early hours of the day. But still, I promise I'll make it worthwhile. So let's begin guys. Let me show you the previous year passage for the year 2021 today. And in the next session, that is day after tomorrow, I'll show you the previous year passage for 2022. So I wanted to show you, how different passages you can face in the exam, and on what lines you should be preparing for. So first, this is from the year 2021. It was, I think, about how sand, how sand functions, right? And it was a very generic topic, no facts, no data, nowhere related to finance or economy. So it was just about sand, how are we using soil and how important it is. So let me just read it. Let's just read it together, and let's see what sort of Precis would we make for such a passage. So I'll start with this, guys. Trivial though it may seem, sand is critical ingredient of our lives. So I'll just keep on highlighting the important points as we go along, and you'll see on the same lines we can form our Precis. So trivial though it may seem, sand is a critical ingredient of our lives. It is primary raw material that modern cities are made from. The concrete used to construct shopping malls, offices, apartment blocks, along with the asphalt we use to build roads connecting them, are largely just sand and gravel glued together. The glass in every window, windshield, and smartphone screen is made of melted down sand. And even the silicon chips inside our phones and computers, along with virtually every other piece of electronic equipment in your home, are made from sand. So basically, sand is, what does the, guys, this should be your habit. When you are reading something, after every paragraph, make sure that you put down the key point, right? So what was the key point? Sand is the critical ingredient of our lives. It ranges from buildings to roads and to, to every glass shield or glass, that is used anywhere in your life. So it basically constitutes majority of, of the physical nature of your life. So that was the first key point here, right? So sand is a critical ingredient of our lives. So let's read further. And where is the problem with that, you might ask? Our planet is covered in it. Huge deserts from the Sahara to Arizona have billowing dunes of the stuff. Beaches on coastlines around the world are lined with sand. We can even buy bags of it at our local hardware shop for a fistful of small change. The problem lies in the type of sand that we are using. So it is, readily available. But what is the problem? The problem is the type of sand that we are using. So first is the criticality, or the, let's say, the widespread usage of sand, right? So the first key point was this. Second is availability of sand. It is readily available to us, but can we use all of it? Now that's what we're going to discuss. The problem lies in the type of sand we are using. See, desert sand is largely useless to us. The overwhelming bulk of the sand we harvest concrete, and for that purpose, desert sand grains are the wrong shape. Eroded by wind rather than water, they are too smooth and rounded to lock together to form stable concrete. So we do have sand available in deserts, but that is unusable. Next, guys, the sand we need is the more angular stuff found in beds, banks, and floodplains of rivers. So that is what we really need, as well as in lakes and on the seashores. The demand for that material is so intense that around the world, riverbeds and beaches are being stripped bare. So the demand is so high that riverbeds and beaches are being stripped everywhere, and farmlands and forests torn up to get at the precious grains. And in a growing number of countries, criminal gangs have moved into the trade, spawning an often lethal black market in sand. So sand mining has become a black market in many of the countries. The main driver of this crisis is breakneck urbanization. So that is the cause of this. Every year there are more and more people on the planet, with an ever-growing number of them moving from the rural countryside into cities, especially in the developing world. Across Asia, Africa, Latin America, cities are expanding at a pace on a scale greater than any time in human history. Mining sand to use in concrete and other industrial purposes is, if anything, even more destructive. Sand for construction is most often mined from rivers, right? It is easy to pull the grains up with suction pumps or even buckets, and easy to transport once you've got full boatload. But dredging a riverbed can destroy the habitat. It can lead to changing of ecosystem. It can destroy the habitat occupied by bottom-dwelling organisms. The churned up sediment can cloud the water, suffocating fish and blocking the sunlight that sustains underground vegetation. Sand attraction from rivers has also caused untold millions of dollars in damage to infrastructure around the world. So it has also caused untold millions of dollars in damage to infrastructure around the world. The stirred up sediment clogs water supply equipment, and removing all that material from river banks leaves the foundation of bridges exposed and unsupported. Alright guys, so this was the passage. Now what could be a sample précis for this? Now let's look at the key points. We have highlighted the key points. So now you must be thinking, sir, there were many important things there. So how do we contract the passage and how do we put it in 120, 150 words, right? So you give it an apt title, Training Sand. Simple, short, crisp, and punchy, right? So it should highlight the whole point, the key area. See, what was the purpose of the passage? It was to highlight how we are misusing or exploiting the natural resource by the name which goes by the name of sand. So simple title, Draining Sand around us, or Draining Sand. You can just write a couple of words here. Now, what should be in the passage? It may be little more than grains of weathered rock, but sand is also the world's second most consumed natural resource, and rapid urbanization is the root cause of its depletion across the world. So always the first sentence of your précis should highlight the central theme of the passage. So it is readily available, but due to rapid urbanization, the root cause, which is the root cause of its depletion across the world. Billion tons per year extracted of any material without leading to massive impacts on the planet, and thus on people's lives, is impossible. Sand mining has incited war of demand and has even led to lethal black market trade. River sand mining is also contributing to the slow motion disappearance of ecosystem, affecting the flora and fauna of the vicinity. Damage to infrastructure due to mining of sand has costed millions of dollars across the globe. Hence, the alarming issues at hand may prove to be catastrophic, considering the versatile usage and demand of sand in our lives. So see, Precis basically, guys, it's not collection of key points, and many students feel that Precis is like a summary, and I think that is what we have been taught all along since we were kids. So in summary, what we do is we pick out the key points and we put them together in the sequence of the passage, right? But that is not what Precis is all about. Precis is something very different altogether. Precis is, it's the central, you can call it the crux of the passage, the gist of the passage. Whatever has been conveyed by the author in between the lines, that has to be inferred from the passage. So see, you can put it this way. If somebody comes to you with a passage and asks you to to shorten it up, or to tell you what is there in the passage, with limited number of words. So what you do is you read the passage, you comprehend it, you infer what has been conveyed in the passage, and then you present it in your own words. So these are some key points that we must remember when we are writing a Precis. So this is a sample Precis, could be a sample solution for the passage that was given. So this was for the year 2021. In the year 2022, there was another passage which was based on space exploration. So I'll discuss that with you in the next session. So I wanted to discuss, a couple of Precis passages with you so that you get an idea that, okay, what we need to do when we are writing a Precis. So guys, can you see I have not copied anything from the passage? I have inferred everything that has been conveyed in the passage by the author, and I have put it in my own words in an organic paragraph, right? By connecting the sentences, making it look very organic, as if I have written this on my own and it is true, right? So the point is, when you are writing your Precis, keep in mind that replication is not required here. You don't need to copy and paste, right? That would lead to deduction of marks. What you need is originality. That is what they're looking for. So we will try to target all these issues. So let's start with what the definition of a Precis is and what are the key points to remember in Precis writing. So this is a very good definition that I found. So let me read it out to you guys. A Precis, now please pay attention to this. A Precis is a clear, compact, condensed brief of a passage by exclusion of unimportant text, or you can say superfluous text, or extended text, and filtration of key points in writer's own words. So these are some key points that you need to remember, that a Precis is a clear, condensed and compact version of the passage where we exclude the unimportant text or elaborated text, and we only keep the key points, the central theme of the passage, by filtration of key points, and it has to be in your own words. That is very, very important. That is what they're looking for, originality, when you are presenting your Precis. So Precis writing is regarded as a very important kind of composition because it develops one's capacity to discriminate between the essential and the non-essential. And guys, I can tell you that this is a very important skill set that you would require in your daily life. So guys, I know all of you are aspiring to be RBI Grade B officers, and guys, as a part of your job, it would be a daily part of your job. You would be receiving reports, memos, whatnot, emails, and on a daily basis, and you would be asked by your superiors or others to to shorten it down and present it in a crisp manner. That is what is that? That's basically Precis writing in simple sense of the word, right? Or probably you would be sitting in a high level meeting someday, and you would be asked to write down the minutes of the meeting. So that is what is that all about. So see, they are trying to understand if you are original in your presentation, if you have the necessary skill to discriminate between the essential and the non-essential, and can you infer the underlying meaning or the hidden message that has been conveyed by the author in the passage. So looking at the previous passage we just discussed, what was the underlying message that was conveyed by the author? That sand, although prominently available to us human beings, but we have started exploiting it at a large scale. Reason being, it's not all the desert sand is not usable. Whatever is usable has been made of use by people. There and there are black market, there are gangs who are working in this industry, and they've created black market for this. So there is a huge demand for it, and the reason for that is the versatile usage of sand. It is used in construction, roads, buildings, mobile screens, everywhere. Let me highlight this first of all. See guys, what you need to understand is you will be given roughly around 3 times the word limit. So if they've given you a 120 or 150 or 170 word limit, so you would be given around 450 or 500 word passage. So what you need to do is you need to plan or outline the passage. What do I mean by plan or outline is, see, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 7 paragraphs, right? So if I say that, okay, if I take at least one sentence out of every paragraph, because every paragraph discusses a new aspect, right? So if I take one key point from every paragraph, so I have 7 sentences with me, right? Then there is one introductory sentence and there is one which is conclusion sentence. So that makes it around 9 to 10 sentences. So, and on an average, we as human beings write about 12 to 15 words per sentence, right? That's an average, average word mark. So we write about 12 to 15 words. So if we have to write 150 or 170 words in the Precis, so you can understand, okay, we will be writing around 10 to 12 sentences, right? On an average. It may, it may differ. It is subjective. It may differ from person to person, but normally it is expected that you write a balanced sentence, right? Not too long, not too short. They should be organic. So if we understand, we have to write 10 to 12 sentences to meet our word limit and to observe proportion. What I mean by observing proportion is so that you do not pay a lot of attention to one particular aspect of the passage, and you skip the other because of lack of word limit. So we can't do that. We have to observe proportion. So that is what I'm talking about. When you are starting to write a précis, you need to understand that you need to plan or outline the original passage. Let's say there are 7 paragraphs. So that means I have 7 sentences or 8 sentences with me. I'll add 2 sentences which are introductory and conclusion sentence. So that makes it 10 to 11 sentences. And I think that would meet my word limit, right? Including the title. So if you plan your passage like that, that would give you the proportion that you need to observe while you are writing your précis. So always make sure that you start with this habit. So whenever you're reading something, after every paragraph, you mark down the important points and you write down what is the key aspect that has been discussed in that paragraph, so that you are able to observe proportion in your précis, right? You don't just read the passage and start writing whatever comes to your mind. That way you will always miss out something important and your précis will not fetch good marks. So first key point, plan your passage, outline your passage and understand how many potential sentences you are going to write, and how much importance should be given to which section. Second, only keep the abstract of the passage. Now, what I mean by the word abstract, so that's what I was talking about, guys. See, we do not need to pick out the important statistics or important words or important data from the passage, right? Nothing has to be replicated in the précis. It has to be original. See, obviously you can't change the basic words. You can't change sand, for example, the passage that we just read. So in such a passage, you can't change the word sand or black market or exploitation of this. But yes, the other, in simple words, we need to present it in our own words, in our own language, in our own understanding. So only keep the abstract of the passage. Do not use any unimportant text, right? Do not use any elaborated point that has been given. And I'll give you very simple trick in the next session, how to find out the important points from the passage. We'll also give you that. But first, let's understand how to frame a précis from the scratch, right? Then selection of the most prominent phrases and sentences. This is very important. As I showed you, when you are reading, right? Always keep on underlining or always keep on pointing out what are the key points that you found in every paragraph, right? So when you get into this habit, that will make it very easy for you to discriminate between the important and the unimportant phrases and sentences in the passage. And then after you have done that, form a chain of facts and connect to make an organic whole. So when you have figured out all the important key points, then try to connect them. Don't just put them there for the sake of putting them there. You have to connect them using conjunctions: subsequently, consequently, therefore, however, instead of. So we must use these words so that our paragraph, précis paragraph, looks right. So that is the first key point of first few key points of précis writing. Observe proportion, keep only the abstract, mind the important and prominent phrases and sentences, and connect them to make an organic whole. So these are the 4 key pillars of understanding précis writing, right? The précis. Now, guys, I'll also highlight this in the next few sessions, but let me tell you what your précis should look like and what is the structure of your précis. So basically, your précis is only, it starts with the title on the top, right? You don't need to write title. I'm just giving you an example here. So title on the top, and the rest, the whole précis is written in only one paragraph. Now this is what needs to be remembered, that your précis is only written in one paragraph. You cannot make separate paragraphs in a précis. You cannot write bullet points in a précis. See, every sort of articulation has some structure to it, right? Letter is written in some different structure. Report is written in a different structure. Similarly, essay has a different structure to it. An article has a different structure to it. So everything that is written has a proper structure associated with it, and this is the structure for a précis. So précis is written in only one paragraph with a title on the top, right? So that is the key point. That is the basic structure of a précis that you all must understand, and you should start practicing this way from now on. If you have any other doubts, if you have any other queries, let me just explain what it is all about, and then you can start on those lines, and then we can build writing. So that is the structure of a précis. Now what are some important key points of a précis? So students ask me, sir, what should be the title? Can we write write the title as a question mark? Yes, if it is a rhetorical question. If it is a, if it's a question where you are, putting a question not as a question, but as a food for thought, as a chain for thought, right? So that is absolutely correct. So it has to be punchy. It should highlight the whole theme of the passage, and it should be only a couple of words long. It should not be a complete sentence, like the titles that you read in your daily newspapers, right? Short, catchy, but highlighting the key points. So you get the essence of the whole thing from the title itself. So the crux or the gist of the passage is the title of the Precis. That is what needs to be remembered. Then second, I told you we cannot replicate sentences. See, if you replicate sentences, it will be caught and it will lead to deduction of marks. All right. Next, have brevity and clarity. See, the language of the passage can be confusing, can be ambiguous, can be difficult to understand. But your Precis, on the other hand, should be simplified version of the passage. And by simplified, I don't mean laying it out for a kid, but it should be understandable to a layman. So that is your target audience basically. So you have to simplify the hidden meaning or the inherent meaning of the passage, and then when you are presenting your Precis, it should be it should be understandable. It should be understood by a layman, right? So it must have brevity, and it must then avoid direct speech and use indirect speech. So instead of using that, okay, we see many students, they feel like as if we are presenting the Precis. You are not presenting the Precis. You are presenting the the ideas of the author in your own words. But see, the passage was written by the author, so don't use first person perspective. What I mean by first person perspective is, don't write we see that sand is exploited everywhere in the world. So we see is the first person perspective. Write it in a third person perspective. That is indirect speech. So it is observed that sand has been exploited, or sand is being exploited all over the world, and it has led to black market in different nations. So write it in a third person perspective. Don't use direct speech. Don't use yourself as the speaker. Write it as if you're writing on behalf of a third person, and another person would be reading it on the same lines, right? Then exclusion of statistical information. So guys, if there is a passage where there is any data that is given, for example, they've given you certain numbers. In 2021, let's say the inflation rate was 3.7. In 2022, it has gone up to 4.6. So instead of pointing this 3.7 to 4.6, what you have to put there is inflation is on the rise. So you have to exclude statistical information, because that is not what your Precis should include. Precis should be the how do you call it, squeezed down version. So it should exclude any statistical information or any elaborated information, any data, any specific example that is given, and you just need to keep the core points of the passage, right? Then, as I told you, observe proportion. I told you how to observe proportion. Count how many paragraphs are there. You can see that every paragraph will have some key point in it. So you can observe your proportion like that. So I'll be making 10 to 12 sentences in my Precis. Right. So in those 12 sentences, I'll be including these 8 points from these 8 paragraphs. Then I'll have 2 more sentences, one introduction on my own, one conclusion on my own. And then that becomes a 10, 11, 12 sentence long Precis. Right. And, you have to mandatorily follow the word limit of a Precis, guys. See, why do they give you a word limit in a Precis? If they have mentioned that you have to write a 170 word Precis, you cannot exceed it. You cannot exceed it, because if you exceed it, it will lead to deduction of marks. So in Precis, you have to observe the word limit, with utmost, with utmost care, because if you exceed the word limit in Precis, it will lead to deduction of marks. You cannot overshoot the word limit, but so let's say the word limit is 170. So the better it will be, the closer you are to the Precis, the word limit, the better it is going to be. So somewhat between 155, 160 to 170, that would be a good word limit for a Precis. Now anything beyond 155, 150 would also lead to deduction of marks. Anything beyond 170 will also lead to deduction of marks. So that is one important key point that you need to remember. See, originally we usually say Precis 1/3 of the original passage, but in these exams you are mentioned a word limit. You are given a word limit, and we have to follow the word limit. We have to observe it, because otherwise it will lead to deduction of marks, right? So these are certain key points of Precis. Um, is it okay now, guys? Is there any is there a buffering issue? Guys, please confirm it for me. Is it am I audible now? Is it better now, or is it still stuck? Good morning, everyone. Okay, it's working now. All right. So thank you so much, guys. Now it's better. All right. Must be some internet glitch or something, some issue. All right. So these are certain key points of a Prezi that you must keep in mind when you are drafting your Prezi, right? So structure of Prezi, very important. Word limit of Prezi, very important. Then replication, a replication, again, very important point. You cannot replicate your sentences. Do not forget writing a title, guys, because many students do it every year, and I can say it clearly from the get-go that what students do is they just focus on what usually happens. They feel, okay, we'll think of a title later on, right, where we'll be creative, we'll make it catchy, right? And what they do is they just start with the Prezi itself, and after they're done with the Prezi, they just forget about the title and they just move to the next question. And after leaving the examination hall, it strikes them that, okay, oh, I think we have forgotten the title of the passage. So title of the Prezi would, it would weigh around 3 to 4 marks. So if you want to lose those 3-4 marks, you can miss the title. Otherwise, make sure that you follow the structure, right? And then exclusion of statistical information is another important point. You cannot copy examples, data, statistics from the passage. You just need to write what you have understood from the passage. Got it? So we'll start with the with the key points of Prezi writing, and then we will look into what good Prezi, what bad Prezi should look. So let me show you, guys. So I have a few examples with me just to show you. I think probably there is some internet issue. So let's see, guys, if it is working well. So I'm just trying to show you that what is the difference between a bad Prezi and a good Prezi, right? And what you should avoid and what you should strive for. So I'll give you a few examples for bad Prezi, and then I'll show you good Prezi as well. So I have a few examples. So let's look at the problem here. Number one. So see, this is what I was talking about. The student forgot the title, lost 3 marks because of this, right? Then second is the structure. See, what has he done? Creating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. That is again the wrong way of presenting a Prezi. I told you Prezi is only written in one paragraph. It's not written in bullet points. It's not written in numbers. It is only written in one paragraph. That is again losing 2 to 3 marks here. Then what are the other problems? Financial inclusion is not all about to access savings. See, grammatical mistakes. It also includes easy, safe, low-cost access to financial product, and depends upon payment system. Is a necessary element for this. The current decade in India has made a paradigm shift. Again, this was wrong. India has seen or observed a paradigm shift in approach of banks. Then, see, this is where the problem kicks in. When you add statistics to your, specific statistics as they are given in the passage, if you just copy them, that would be called replication, and it will lead to poor marks. So avoid replication of statistics in the Prezi. So 38.2 branches, 14.5 ATMs are operated in India, and then despite the huge banking infrastructure, 44% of the Indian lack access to saving account. Then again, grammatical mistakes. So you can read it. So this is what we call a poor Prezi, right? Not observing structure, not observing the, not giving the title. Word limit is probably followed, but then inclusion of statistical data, that is what leads to a poor score in your Prezi, right? So see, the language was not bad at all, but he has not followed the key points of a Prezi. Let me show you another one. See, in this, the student has given a title, but look at the title, how long it is. Financial inclusion. See, it was given 44% of the people do not have a savings account. So how do you put it in your original words? A little less than half of Indians are yet to own bank accounts, owing to nascent infrastructure, illiteracy, language barriers, and irrelevant banking products. Supply side issues include small transaction size, high credit risk. In spite of this, rural banking has managed to flourish, aided by the RBI through its financial inclusion plan and rural reach incentives. This success demands mainly This success depends mainly on customization of bank products and services according to the unique demographics of the financially excluded, while inclusively catering to expectations. So see, opening with a good statement, keeping it stuck, including all the important points in original form of presentation, and then giving it a good conclusion sentence. Now, this is what we call a good Prezi. Now, such a Prezi would fetch you around 20 to 22 marks out of 30. Now, this is what you should aspire for. And I was highlighting the conjunctions here. See how well he has connected the sentences with each other. In spite of, however, though. So this is what is required. Originality, consequently, right? So this is what I was talking about. When you are writing Prezi on your own, that is what you need to understand, that you need to create your original paragraphs, your understanding of the passage, right? I'll show you another example. Even if you feel that, okay, we do need to use some facts and data, how do you use them? I'll give you another example. Financial inclusion and its challenges. See, guys, you have to understand there is no such thing as right Prezi or wrong Prezi. There is only good Prezi or bad Prezi, right? Everyone will write Prezi in his own way, but there are certain key points that we need to follow. And after that, if you include all the key points, it will still fetch you good marks. So let's look at another example. Though financial inclusion is necessary for not just saving and borrowings, it also helps in low-cost cash flow management. Yet it's not sufficient for economic growth. Despite the current decade being a shift in paradigm shift for financial inclusion, where nearly 40% of bank branches and 15% of the ATMs established in rural areas, 44% of the Indians still lack access to a savings account. Various costs such as transportation and poor infrastructure are deterring the rural customer to open a bank account. This was a mistake. Lack of relevant products, high credit risk, illiteracy and language are also acting as barriers for banks and customers. Now, despite the challenges, RBI through its financial inclusion plan made the rural banking network expansion possible. The success of inclusion depends upon the outright new approach to address the specific needs of the financially excluded section of the society and not the stripped down versions of the existing products. So this is what I call a good Prezi. This would probably fetch you around 19-20 marks. See, because it was probably a little short of the word limit. But other than that, it highlighted everything. See, if you just include whatever data was given, broadly in one sentence, that is still doable, right? But you should strive to highlight the core points of the passage, what has been conveyed by the author, right? So that was the difference between a good Prezi and a bad Prezi. I hope you've understood on what lines you need to start writing your Prezi. So guys, I wanted to discuss a live Prezi with you, right? And I wanted you to give your inputs about the Prezi. Agent Neo, that's a very good question. See, many faculty members, many people across the board or, on other platforms would tell you that, it should be written in past tense. That is not true. See, Prezi has to be kept in the same tense as it is given in the passage. If the passage talks about the past, you have to keep the Prezi in the past. If the passage talks about present, you have to keep it in present. If it talks about future, you have to keep it in future. See, there is no point, or it would be, pointless to, if let's assume there is a passage which talks about the, the growth of AI in the future, right? Now, how would I put it in past? Would that make sense? Now you can answer this for yourself. Now guys, people may tell you a number of things, but you have a brain on the top, right? Please use it, right? People, they come out with these points and I don't know from where, but what we are referring to here at EduTap, and I'll give you the source. We have referred to, a course in your Cambridge University, right? And from there we found the, the real definition of a Prezi and how a Prezi is different from a summary. So although it was not very easily available online, but we went through that and we got the whole thing. And then we understood, oh, this is what has to be understood, that Prezi is to be kept in the same tone of the passage. It cannot be changed. Although, yes, I did tell you that use it in indirect speech. But what I meant by indirect speech is, write it on in a third person perspective. But, that would not make sense if the passage talks about the future. How can you put it in the past tense? Can you do that? I think the answer would be no, right? Absolutely. See guys, any doubts, any queries you have, please feel free to ask. Right? I'll take all your queries at the end of the session. Right? And I'll try to answer all of them, and I'll try to help you out as much as possible. I know your exams are, just around the corner, and that was that was the intention behind these, these sessions, behind this series, that so that we are able to help you out in this time of need, right? And anybody and everyone out there. So guys, that's what I request you all. Please like the session, right? That would be that would be very useful to improve the outreach of these sessions, so that somebody who's out there who cannot afford who cannot afford these courses, or these expensive programs, so that they may be helped from that, right? So that is the only intention. So it's a humble request, do like the session, do share it as much as possible in groups, in channels that you are associated with, so that it may help someone out there. And we are doing it with the with the honest intent of helping our students and everyone out there. So that was that. So I wanted to discuss a passage with you. So let's see what the passage would look like. And guys, I want you to participate in this. So if you have a pen and paper with you, write down the key points from every paragraphs, and then I'll give you a sample Precis for it. And then let's see if we are able to find out if we are, let's see if we are writing on the same line or not, right? All right, guys. So let's read the passage. India is the world's 7th largest economy. Now, this is an old passage, but let's read, okay? India is the world's 7th largest economy and the 5th largest personal consumption expenditure market globally, PCE market, personal consumption market globally. With all the efforts put in by the industry in driving digital payments deeper and wider across the country, over the past year, India has emerged as one of the fastest adopters of digital payments ever. So India has emerged as the fastest adopter of digital forms of payments ever, and we know that we are talking about UPI and all that, right? And India still continues to retain its tag as the world's largest cash displacement market in absolute terms. Although India is still, the largest cash displacement market in absolute terms, but we are the fastest adopters of digital forms of payments as well, right? So that is the key point of the pressing, right? So you keep on highlighting the key points as you go along, and then let's see how we can put it there. Next, guys, the government's focus on driving digital payment penetration has been certainly the government's focus on driving digital payment penetration has certainly been a catalyst over the past year. There has been an evident escalation of digital commerce over these past months, in turn reaping benefits for consumers, businesses, and the economy in general. Now, digitization of payments forms the building block towards creation of a formal and transparent economy. That is true, right? The more people we bring in into the organized sector of the country, the better or the more sustainable our economy will be. So, digitization of payments forms the building block towards the creation of a formal and transparent economy, helping us in the fight against corruption, terror financing, and unaccounted wealth. So again, good point. So it helps us to fight against corruption, terror financing, and unaccounted wealth. In the longer run, moving towards a less cash economy will boost the country's GDP and will bring about deep structural shift in the economy. That is very good point. Will boost the economy and it will bring about deep structural shift in the economy. As we have discussed over the recent past, it also offers the perfect platform for digital entrepreneurs to innovate and develop products. It also gives a chance to entrepreneurs to innovate and develop products and solutions that could truly change the way the world transacts. In particular, open loop solutions with potential to reach out to mass markets and help spread the digital footprint far and wide. Let's read further. With over 800 million debit cards and over 30 million credit cards in the market, almost every household in India now has access to a digital form of payment. Even more heartening is the emergence of humble debit card as a preferred form of payment over the past year. At 3 times growth in payment volumes and over 3.5 times growth in transactions, consumers are beginning to enjoy the benefits of the debit card beyond its use as an ATM cash withdrawal instrument. Non-discretionary spending categories such as fuel and groceries have emerged among the largest spending categories, indicating digital adoption across the mass market. The single largest reason for this surge could be attributed to the rapid expansion of the acceptance infrastructure in India. That is true. So in this paragraph, we talk about debit cards and how they have emerged. Usage of debit card not just as a cash withdrawal instrument, but also for daily transactions. It has seen that surge, and it is very prominent. So the single largest reason for this surge can be attributed to rapid expansion of the acceptance of infrastructure in India. If you see ATMs everywhere, people would be inclined towards using them, right? And if every platform, every shop out there uses debit card, right, everybody would be using it. Nobody wants to carry stacks of cash in their pocket. It's not viable, right? And nobody prefers that. Let's read further. Since the start of the year, the industry has added over 1 million new acceptance points, increasing the number to 2.8 million across the country, right? The trend continues across e-commerce platforms too. So with more consumers preferring to transact using digital forms of payment. So we have added over 1 million new acceptance points, and the trend continues across e-commerce platforms where people are preferring to transact using digital forms of payments. Notwithstanding the significant progress we have made over the past year alone, there is a lot more work to be done. At a modest 11%, the country's electronic personal consumption expenditure EPCE rate is a far cry from some leading economies around the world. So we cannot be satisfied, we cannot be complacent with this rate, right? Although it is a modest 11% growth rate in EPCE consumption, but we still lag far behind compared to other countries where EPC rates are upwards of 60%. So we still have a long way to go. By expanding the acceptance infrastructure and energizing energizing innovating methods of payment, bolstering financial participation through stronger open collaboration, we can continue to move up this value chain in the future. Now, digital commerce is well and truly on its way to changing the way Indians pay and get paid in the future. The opportunity to leverage digital commerce beckons consumers, businesses, and governments alike. How we seize this opportunity would eventually determine our ability to play a lead role in transformation towards a digital world. So everything was given in the last passage. So the core point was given of the whole passage was given in the last paragraph itself. So have you got it, guys? So what I want you to do is, guys, you will get the PDF of this session in our Telegram group. The link for our Telegram group is given in the description, at the very bottom of the description of the video. So if you want the PDF of this of these sessions, join our Telegram group. You'll find all the PDFs and many more such on that channel, on that group, and that would be really helpful. So, or you can take a screenshot as well if you want to, guys. So just take a screenshot of this, right? Later on, sit down, read it carefully, and what I want you to do is write down a Precis on the basis of this. Give that a title. Write down a Precis on in about 150 words. So let's keep the word limit as 150 words. Looking at the amount of words used here, so 150 words. So keep it to that, and in one paragraph I want you to write a Precis on it, and I want you to paste that Precis in the comment section of the video. So I want all of you to try this at your home in your own time, so that you are able to understand what should a good Precis look like. And I'm also giving you a sample solution for this, but don't read up the sample solution before you have written your own Precis, right? I want to see how you are developing your Precis, how you are articulating your Precis, right? So I will highlight a few of the Precis that that are the best in the comment section of the video, right? So this is your homework. You can call it a homework for today. And the reason for this is we want you to get into the practice of writing Precis every day. Right? So this is the sample solution for this Precis, but don't read it now. You can read it later on after you have written your own Precis. Right, guys? So that was it for basics of Precis writing today. Now we will be discussing more aspects of Precis in the next few sessions. We would be discussing the tips and tricks of drafting a Precis. Then we would be writing, we will be seeing how to draft a Precis like a pro. And then again, we will have a session where we'll be discussing live how to look at a passage and how to draft a Precis right here on this channel. So guys, we are doing everything for you right here. You probably will benefit more from these sessions than anything that is out there. So that is a promise to you. And guys, don't just leave the session yet. Do let us know how was the session, if you liked it or not. And if you did, please do click that like button. There's nothing wrong with it, liking something that you found useful, right? And if you have any queries, you can call us on this number during the office hours, that is 8146207241. Or if you want to drop an email, you can also drop it at hello@edutap.co.in. And if you want to check out our courses for RBI Grade B 2023 this year, the website is www.edutap.co.in. So I'll look into your queries now, and then we'll try to wrap up the session, guys. So optimum way to attempt English descriptive in 1 hour, should we start from SC Precis? See, Mukul, I always feel this is subjective. You should start with all, see, if I feel I'm good at essay, I should start with my essays. I feel, if you ask me, sir, what would you do? I would start with an essay, because see, when you enter the exam, you're fresh, your brain is fresh, you have all the energy, excitement, so you can recall all the facts and data in your head, right? So as soon as you walk into the exam room, you start your paper, you look at the topics, you choose a topic, you put down your, whatever stats that that you have prepared for in your head, and you put them down, and then you write an essay, right? I would start like that. But see, that is not that may not be applicable to all of you. It is always subjective, Mukul. You can start with Precis if you feel like. See, I always suggest my dear students that always start with your strongest question. Always start with your strongest strongest module. Reason for that is, see, if you start with the weakest, or if you start with the toughest that you find, and let's say hypothetically, if you use more than required time, if you use up more than the time that you have allocated to that particular section, you will start panicking. Let's say you started with essay, and you in your head you had allocated 20 minutes for essay writing, right? But let's say you took up 23, 24 minutes or 25 minutes for essay, right? Because you wanted to give it your best. But when you are finished, you will start panicking. You'll see almost half of the time is done, and you still have 2 more questions to go. You'll start hurrying up, and when you start hurrying up, you tend to make mistakes. So that is why I say, do not start with the difficult part, always start with the strong part. So whichever you feel the strongest about, start with that. If you feel that I'm good at RC, start with RC. Be quickly done with it, so that you feel confident. Okay, in 15 minutes, 17 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm done with the biggest chunk of the paper. Now I think I can sit, relax. I have ample time for my other 2 questions. Let's look into that. So see, it's a strategy that you have to devise, you have to develop. But honestly, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to start with this or you have to start with that. That is truly subjective. So my suggestion to you would be, always start with the strongest part of your paper and then move on to the difficult part. That would do justice to your paper. I hope you've understood that, right? All right, guys. Any other doubts, any other queries you may have, please feel free to drop them in the comment section of the video. And do not forget the homework. You have to write a Precis. Nobody is judging you, nobody will be scoring you, nobody will be giving you any comments on that. But do write up a Precis, do share it in the comment section of the video, so that I may be able to understand if you are working on the right in the right context or not. Right, guys? So thank you so much, guys, for joining in at such early hours. I know you have a long day ahead, and as the days are passing, I know the anxiety will build up slowly and gradually. You must have started feeling butterflies in your stomach, but that's okay, right? That's what this exam is all about, fighting the pressure, right? And that's what they want to see. If an aspirant can fight, can perform under pressure, that is what this exam is all about. So fighting the time limit, fighting all the syllabus, whatever you have to cover, whatever you have to prepare for. So that's what they want to see, if a student is proactively preparing for such questions, right? So this will gauge your preparation. This will give you a push. So start with this, start writing your essays as we have discussed in the previous sessions. And do watch the sessions, previous sessions, if you have not yet done that. And do start writing your Precis over the weekends, or probably twice a week, bi-weekly basis. So do start get into the habit of typing your answers, sitting down and typing your answers on a computer. You have to get used to that sort of articulation, because in the last stretch of the paper after phase 1, it would be impossible to do to do your best or to give your best for it. So you still have 70 days, about 65-70 days for the exam, right? So start preparing in the right direction. Start practicing your essays, start practicing your Precis. That would be my suggestion to all of you, right? So guys, having said that, thank you, Ayan. Thank you for the kind words, and I hope we are able to help you out. That is the purpose. See, at such early hours, or what is the purpose of these lectures? The purpose is to help you out in the long run, to give you something that you probably would have missed, reading it from anywhere, or you probably would have tried it on your own, or somebody would have suggested you something else. So let's go through these sessions. Let's learn what the right way of articulation is, what the right drafting skills are that are required in the paper, so that you can do justice to your to your efforts, to the hard work that you're putting in. So that is the whole game here. And do not forget to write your answers in the comment section. I'm again reminding you guys. So having said that, I'll take your leave for today. We have these sessions every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday in the morning, 8 a.m. And these sessions will continue till end of May. So this is a 12 lecture series where we'll be discussing all the modules of the paper and much more than that. So stay connected with us. Don't forget to like the session. Don't forget to share it, as I told you earlier. And I wish you all the very best for your preparation for your journey ahead, guys. Keep up the endeavors, keep up the good work, pull up your socks, pull up your sleeves, and this is high time you started preparing in the right direction. So give it your best, and I wish you all the success in life ahead, guys. Thank you so much, and happy learning to all of you guys.